Shabbat Shalom, I'm Cantor Margaret Bruner. This is Temple Beth El Salinas, and I'm joined here by members of the congregation. And this evening, our wonderful pianist, Rick Irmatagi, is joining us at the piano as we welcome in Shabbat by singing together, Hine Ma Tov, the words that we all know so well. It is good to gather together, brothers and sisters, and those words to Hine Ma Tov can be found on page 10. Page 10. Hine Ma Tov u'manaim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Ma Tov u'manaim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Ma Tov, Hine Ma Tov, lai la lai la 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 lai. Hine Ma Tov, Hine Ma Tov, lai la lai la 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 lai. Hine Ma Tov u'manaim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Ma Tov u'manaim, shevet achim gam yachad. And we're going to jump right into candle lighting. Anna Schumacher has a reading she would like to share for us before you light the candles, Anna? Okay. And then when she's ready, you can turn to page 3 where we have our Shabbat candle lighting.
A carpenter who was nearing retirement told his boss that he was ready to end his career and spend his time with his wife and family. He would miss his work, but he felt it was time to spend his time with the people who were important to him. His boss was saddened with the news, as the carpenter had been a good, reliable employee for many years. He asked the carpenter if he could do him a favor and build just one more house. The carpenter reluctantly conceded, even though his passion for building had faded. While he was building the last house, his normal work ethic faded, and his efforts were mediocre at best. He used inexpensive and inferior materials and cut corners wherever he could. It was a poor way to finish such a dedicated career that he once had. When the carpenter was finished, his boss came to look at the house. He gave the key to the carpenter and said, "This house is my gift to you for all the hard work you've done over the years." The carpenter was astonished. What a generous gift this was to receive from his boss. But if he had known he was building a house for himself, he would not have made his usual efforts to create a high-quality house. The moral. The same idea applies to how you build your life. Every day that you wake up offers an opportunity for you to put your best foot forward, yet we often do mediocre work, saving the more important things for another day. Then one day we find ourselves shocked that our lives aren't what we had hoped they would be. The house we built to live in has a lot of flaws due to lack of effort. However, you can't go back and rebuild in a day or two. As people say, life is a do-it-yourself project. Your attitude and choices help build the life that you will live tomorrow. Build carefully.
Please join us in the blessing over the lighting of the Shabbat candles. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner, מדליק נר של שבת. Thank you, Anna. We continue welcoming the Sabbath on page 12. Lechuna Ranana, come let us sing joyously to Adonai. Lechuna Ranana, Lechuna Ranana, Lechuna Ranana al Adonai. Lechuna Ranana, Lechuna Ranana, Lechuna Ranana al Adonai. Naria, Naria, litzur yishenu nekadma fana betoda. Naria, Naria, litzur yishenu bizmirut naria lo. Lechuneranena, lechuneranena, lechuneranena l'Adonai. Lechuneranena, lechuneranena, lechuneranena l'Adonai. Lechuneranena, lechuneranena, lechuneranena l'Adonai. Lechuneranena, lechuneranena, lechuneranena l'Adonai. And then we just flip back one page, page 11, to Ki Eshmera Shabbat. It's the second to last song on page 11. When I keep Shabbat, God watches over me. It is a sign forever between God and me. Ki eshmera Shabbat el yishmereni. Ki eshmera Shabbat el yishmereni. Oti leomead beino uveni. Oti leomead beino uveni. Ki eshmera Shabbat el yishmereni. Ki eshmera Shabbat el yishmereni. We greet the Sabbath bride, Lachadodi, page 20 and 21, with verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. 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 Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmi'anu el cham yuchad, Adonai echad, U'shemo echad, Le'shemo tiferet be'liti la. Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה. סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Verse 5. התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. We rise and turn to face the back of the synagogue to welcome the Shabbat Queen, Boi v'Shalom. Boi v'Shalom עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Please be seated. Just take a minute to wish your neighbor behind you, in front of you, next to you, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Jeff.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Nancy. And we continue with Shalom Aleichem, page 24. Peace be to you, O ministering angels of peace. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Hasharet, Malachi Elyon, Melech Malachi Hamlachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Kadosh Baruch Hu, Baruch Hu Nile Shalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Melech Malachi Hamlachim Kadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedechem l'shalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Melech Malachi Hamlachim Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Yitgadol v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, Ve'amad yivrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyom. Yisrael. Bagala, bagala, uvizman kariv, ve'immeru. Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach, le'olam l'olamei amaya, yitbarach, yitbarach, ve'yishtabach, v'yitbar, v'yitramam, v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shemei d'gudisha. La'ila min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiron be'alma ve'immeru. We join together our call to worship, page 28. Barechu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Please be seated. Rivka, would you read page 30? And Nancy, would you do your usual?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher b'katav b'avariv avarim. Whoop, let's go to the bottom. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time, and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly course according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzvaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, Havariv Avrahim. Amen.
Amen. V'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai.
Baruch Shemo.
Ha'ariv ha'ravim.
Amen. Please turn to page 32 and join in the English in the middle page. Everlasting love you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai, our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Please rise for the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Please be seated and join in the Hebrew at the top of page 36. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol meodecha V'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavacha hayom alavavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibartam bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha b'derech u'v'shokbecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam leot hayadecha v'hayu latotafot beinenecha u'vtavtam el mezuzot beitecha u'v'hisharecha leman tizkeru ve'asitam et kol mitzvotai hitem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzei tiechem meretz Mitzrayim liot lachem lelohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem emet emet.
At the bottom of page 39, let's read responsively. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth.
The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love.
From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way.
Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces.
Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed.
Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one blood. Please join me in singing Mi Chamocha. Mi Chamocha Bailim Adonai, Mi Kamocha Nedar Bakodesh, Norata Ilot Osef Ele, Norata Ilot Osef Ele, Machutecha Rauvanecha, Bokeh Ayam Lifnei Moshe, Zeli, Zeli, Anu Ve'ameru, Adonai Yimloch Leolam Vaed, Adonai Yimloch Leolam Vaed, Adonai Yimloch Leolam Vaed. V'ne'amar kivada Adonai et Yaakov, ugealo miyad chazak mimenu, Baruch ata Adonai, Gal Yisrael. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom. Please join us in singing. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, בשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. Shelter us beneath thy wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen. 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 And we guard the Sabbath, page 44, V'shamru v'nei Yisrael. V'shameru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat. Lasot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש. We rise for Tefillah, page 46. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, v'Konei Hakol, v'Zocher Chastei Avot v'Imahot, u'Mei Gula Livnei B'neihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava. Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Be'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Yeha Kol Atah Rav Lehoshia, Mashiv HaRuach u'Morid HaGashem, Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed, Mechayei HaKol Berachamim, Somech Noflim Berofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem shene afar. Mi chamocha ba'al givurot, umido melach, melech memit umechayeh, umatzmiach Yeshua. V'ne'eman ata l'chayot ha'kol, Baruch ata Adonai, mechayeh ha'kol. Ata kadosh v'shemcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yehalelu chasel. Baruch ata Adonai, ha'el ha'kadosh. We pray silently through page 63. Please join me in singing Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom, Shalom bimromav, Hu ya'aseh Shalom aleinu, ve'akol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Hu ya'aseh Shalom aleinu ve'akol Yisrael, amen. Oseh Shalom, Shalom bimromav, Hu ya'aseh Shalom aleinu, ve'akol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Ve'akol Yisrael, We pause at this time in our service to ask for prayers of healing for those of our friends, our neighbors, our family, those in our community. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless all those that we name this evening in our hearts and aloud.
Maxine Gropper, Sarah Siegel, Dolores Rosan, Arthur Winter, the Gordons.
Richard Schramm.
And our dear Phyllis Torin. Please join me in our prayer for healing and hope, Misha Berach, in the middle of page 253. Jeff, come sing with me. Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misha Berach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. Thank you. Vayeizei, I don't want to say it's a favorite of our synagogue, but it's a favorite Torah portion. We can't help but feel a special relationship to this Torah portion because this is the place where that was named Beit El, the house of Adonai, after Jacob's flight and return served to frame him, to frame this parsha, and recounts how the people of Israel were built up through their intersecting struggles and wills of Rachel, Leah, and Jacob. And when Jacob departs from home with the intangible gifts of the blessing and the birthright, he exhibits his youthful adaptability by using a stone for a pillow and sleeping alone in the mountains, blanketed in darkness. And Jacob recognizes as he sleeps that something has happened, he has changed, and he awakes and he becomes a different Jacob. And this is the Torah portion so famously of the angels ascending and descending Jacob's ladder. And I always pull out this book, I know at this time of year. It was written by my teacher, Lawrence Kushner, Hebrew Union College in New York, and he has served as Rabbi Emeritus at Temple Beth El, San Francisco. And he has a very, he just takes apart the Torah portion in this book and comes up with different ruminations and stories and thoughts and impressions. And this one that he wrote, Praying by the Ocean, is a nice story I thought I'd share with you. God is the ocean, and we are the waves. In some sense, each wave has its moment in which it is distinguishable as a somewhat separate entity. Nevertheless, no wave is entirely distinct from the ocean, which is its substantial ground. The waves are surface manifestations of the ocean. Our knowledge of the ocean is largely dependent on the way it manifests itself in the waves. But you cannot simultaneously be aware that you are the wave and be aware that you are part of the ocean. And that is why God is so elusive. In a similar vein, the theologian Alan Watts suggests that God is the self of the world, but you can't see God for the same reason that without a mirror, you can't see your own eyes. Consider, for instance, what such an idea would do to our understanding of prayer. Assuming the waves could speak, what should they say to the ocean? Perhaps the most meaningful noise they could make would be the rhythmic, relentless whisper they make as they rise and fall, come in and out of being. Surely that is a worthy prayer. Surely those prayerful sounds, if they could be scored on paper, would be worthy of regular rehearsal, for they would remind each wave of the source of its being. Making those sounds would remind each wave that it was indeed a wave, and contrary to all the wave's illusions, not something else. You might say that we only have two options. We can recite the words, acknowledge that we are all waves of the same sea, made of the same stuff, creatures of the same creator, or we can be too busy to make the words, recite the prayer, offer the service. We can, on occasion, select another analogy and choose to be aware of the barely audible noise made by the involuntary emptying and filling of our lungs, this noise by which we live. Or we can ignore and take it for granted. The only casualty is our own awareness, our sense of life. Prayers run in two directions, for the ocean always speaks to the waves. But since the waves are already part of the ocean, their sound is, in some sense, the sound of their source speaking to them. They are the mouth of the ocean, and their prayer is the way the sea has of speaking to itself. In the same way, the words of the prayer book and all the meditations of our hearts are the sound of God speaking to God. As Rabbi Kalmish Shapira of Piaseczna, who perished in the Warsaw Ghetto, used to say, no, not only does God hear our prayers, God prays them through us as well. Other Hasidim went even further, and they equated the one who prays with the very prayer that is offered. You are your prayer. Until finally, prayer, the one who offers it and the one who hears it, are the one and the same. Arthur Green and Barry Holtz observed that the worshiper continues to recite the words of prayer, but is no longer the worshiper who speaks them. Rather, it is the presence who speaks through the worshiper. In that prayerful return to the source, one has reached the highest human state, becoming not but the passive instrument for the ever self-proclaiming God. I'm trying to figure out how this beautiful these beautiful words have to do with the Torah portion. They're in his book. I'm not sure how he relates them, but I know that this is a Torah portion in which we all become changed. And we struggle with our prayers, and we struggle with God, and we come out on the other side as a victor and a new person. May you all find peace and God in your own way and in your own hearts on this Shabbat, and I turn over the next part of our service to Nancy Makita, who will share some, I'm sure, something fun.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Anna, for that very meaningful story. That's a very good lesson. I have a little story, which doesn't surprise most of you. This one, although it's supposed to go with this parsha, I haven't figured out why either. However, it's very pertinent to yesterday's holiday, Veterans Day. So, it also mentions Rosh Hashanah, which, okay. So, one Rosh Hashanah morning, the rabbi notices little Alex staring up at a large plaque hanging in the shul foyer, covered with names with small American flags mounted on either side. The rabbi goes over to the pensive 7-year-old and says quietly, "Yom Tov, Alex." "Yom Tov, Rabbi," replies the boy, fixated on the plaque. "Tell me, what is this?" "It's a memorial in holy memory of all the young men and women who died in the service." After standing together for a few minutes, staring at the large plaque, little Alex asks, "Which one, the 9 a.m. or the 10:30 a.m. service?" Okay. That seems very familiar. I may have told it last year or sometime before, but it certainly was pertinent to Veterans Day, in a way. Tomorrow, big event, really. This is our very first time taking our Torah service outside the synagogue. We're going to be holding our service at Ivy Park, formerly known as Phyllis-Sarah. They change their name every year or two. Where 5 of our members reside. So it starts at 10 o'clock. But if you're coming, you need to get there early. There's a check-in process. And of course, you need your mask and your vaccination card. So I hope to see at least most of you there. And it is a Torah service. So, also coming up is the Interfaith Thanksgiving service, which is a week from Sunday at 3 p.m. And some of us will be reading from Genesis, from the very first verse, first chapter of Genesis, the creation story, among other things. So that will be at St. Paul's Church. Probably most of you know where that is. If you don't, ask me. I actually watched them build that church. That's where I grew up, in St. Paul's, and here I am. But quite literally watched them build that church. There used to be pictures in the hall of my sisters and myself doing various things and watching them. Okay, what else have we got?
Calendar right here. So that makes it easy.
Right.
Which is kind of cool.
See what I forgot. Of course, tomorrow there's no Torah study because of the service. The basic Judaism class, again, is at 4 o'clock on Monday. And next Friday is a birthday Shabbat.
With Josh Mack.
And with,
Josh Mack.
oh, Josh Mack will be here, okay. All right, he'll keep us singing. And a chocolate challah or chocolate chip challah, I should say. And, oh, of course, I knew there was another big one coming. Yeah, that's December, right after Thanksgiving. The Hanukkah party will be on December 4th, which is a Saturday at 5 p.m. It was not a dinner this year. It will be latkes and sufganiyot. I gotta say it right. Games and we'll see. It should be fun. We have little kids coming this year. I believe that's pretty much it. Let me see. Well, the board meeting. Any board members here besides me? Board meeting's this Wednesday. It's on Zoom. If you want to come, you can. Just ask for the link and we'll give it to you. I think that's it. So, thank you, Anna. She's also our own egg supplier tonight. Looks good. And have a good weekend.
Thank you, Nancy. And I would like to just let you know, I feel very privileged. I tasted one of the latkes this evening from one of our new latke makers. He was out of this world. Nope. It was very crispy on the outside. It was delicious. So we're in for a treat this year. So don't miss the party. Bring your friends, as long as they're vaccinated and they have their card. Page 282, Aleinu, and we rise as the ark is opened. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon ma'akol, l'teit gdula yatzeh b'reishi, shelo asanu k'goyim haratzon, velo shamanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sham chalkeinu kahel, v'gor aleinu k'chol ha'olam, v'anachnu gorayim, u'mishtachalim u'modim, lifnei melech, malchei hamachim, hakadosh baruch hu, v'ne'emar, v'hayach Adonai, lemelech al kol haaretz, vayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad. Please be seated. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. In our congregation, we remember Saul Glazer, Ethel Sherry, George Fisher, Irving N. Katz, Dina R. Heidelberg, Lawrence B. Torin, M.D., Kara Schneider, Jim, Nelda, and Jonathan Dedrick. Anyone else who's observing a yard site? If you We join together the Mourner's Kaddish, page 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'almad yivrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kari ve'imru, Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach Leolam Lalmei Almaya Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitba'ar V'yitromam V'yitnaseh V'yitadar V'yitaleh V'yitalal Shemei D'Kudeshah La'ela Min Kol Birchata V'shirata Tushbechata V'nechemata Da'amiran Be'alma V'yimru Amen Yehi Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say, Amen. Amen. Please be seated. And our closing song is on page 360. Ufros aleinu, sukat shlomecha, shelter us with the tabernacle of peace. Please join me in singing. Ufros aleinu, sukat, sukat, shlomecha. Ufros aleinu, sukat, sukat, shlomecha. Yai lai la lai, yai lai la lai, yai lai la 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 lai lai lai, ya lai la lai, ya lai la lai, ya lai la lai 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 lai. Shabbat Shalom. Please join us for Kiddush. Thank you so much, Rick, for gracing our service with your beautiful music.